Apple is once again redefining smartphone design with the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and this time the spotlight is firmly on the front of the device. The biggest change is that under-display Face ID is no longer just a rumor but has finally started to become a reality, even if only partially. This marks an important step toward Apple's long-term vision of a completely seamless display. At the same time, the dynamic island has been refined to be smaller, smarter, and far less distracting, resulting in a cleaner and more immersive screen experience. The iPhone 18 Pro Max clearly reflects Apple's careful and confident approach, where innovation is introduced gradually to protect performance, security, and reliability, values that have always defined Apple's design philosophy. One of the first things you notice is the reduced size of the dynamic island. Apple has cut its width by roughly 35%, shrinking it from about 20.7 mm to just 13.5 mm. This change has a surprisingly big visual impact, making the display feel more open and less crowded. Even though it is smaller, the dynamic island remains just as functional, continuing to display notifications, navigation directions, music controls, and background activities in a smooth and interactive way. The key difference is that it now blends into the display instead of constantly pulling your attention, which makes activities like watching videos, scrolling through social media, and playing games feel much more immersive. This refinement also shows that Apple has listened to user feedback, keeping what people liked while reducing what felt intrusive, striking a better balance between design and functionality. The most exciting advancement, however, is the introduction of under-display Face ID technology. For the first time, Apple has moved one of Face ID's critical components, the flood illuminator, beneath the display. This allows the front of the phone to look cleaner and more modern, with fewer visible elements interrupting the screen. The flood illuminator is essential because it projects infrared light onto the user's face, even in low-light conditions, and successfully hiding it under the display is a major technical achievement. It shows that Apple is making real progress toward concealing complex sensors without compromising performance. That said, Face ID is not yet fully hidden, as the infrared camera still remains visible to ensure accurate and secure facial recognition. This decision highlights Apple's cautious and responsible approach, where security and reliability are never sacrificed purely for aesthetics. Together, these updates result in better use of screen space. With a smaller dynamic island and fewer visible sensors, the display on the iPhone 18 Pro Max feels larger and more immersive, even if the actual screen size has not changed significantly. Everyday tasks like watching movies, gaming, reading articles, or multitasking between apps feel more enjoyable and less cluttered. Apple's focus on maximizing usable display space aligns perfectly with modern smartphone usage, where phones are central to entertainment, productivity, and communication. A cleaner screen with fewer interruptions helps users stay more focused and engaged throughout the day. The iPhone 18 Pro Max also offers a clear glimpse into Apple's long-term vision of a truly seamless display. The idea of an iPhone with no cutouts, no notches, and no visible sensors has been discussed for years, and this device brings Apple closer to that future. By shrinking the dynamic island and hiding some Face ID components under the screen, Apple is laying the groundwork for what comes next. However, achieving a fully uninterrupted display is extremely challenging, as under-screen sensors must function perfectly through display layers without affecting brightness, sharpness, or color accuracy, while also maintaining consistent manufacturing quality. Because of these challenges, many experts believe a completely seamless iPhone may not arrive until at least 2027. Until then, the iPhone 18 Pro Max serves as an important transition device. It demonstrates progress, introduces new technologies, and prepares users for future designs. Rather than making sudden and risky changes, Apple continues to refine small details over time, with each generation building on the last. While some may see these updates as incremental, they are meaningful. A smaller dynamic island improves visual comfort, partial under-display Face ID adds a futuristic feel, and improved screen usage enhances everyday experiences. Looking ahead, the iPhone 18 Pro Max sets a strong foundation for future iPhones, proving that under-display Face ID is both possible and practical, and confirming that Apple's innovation is very much alive, even when delivered through carefully planned and thoughtful steps.